Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another live stream and your daily transfer update. Big up to everyone that's locked in on Chelsea Fan TV as well. And there's been quite a lot of news today. Nicolas Jackson is going to be a Chelsea player, all but done now, just medicals taking place. So that deal is completed. Mason Mount, third bid from Man United, has gone in. £50 million plus £5 million in add-ons, bid being assessed now by Chelsea. That probably will be enough to get it. Then again, Mount's indicated he does not want to sign a new contract at Chelsea, which I think that's probably surprised a lot of people. We've got Azpilicueta wanting to go to Inter Milan. There's been a £7 million loan bid for Romelu Lukaku rejected as well. Chelsea getting close to completing personal terms with Moises Caicedo as well before a bid goes in. We might be selling Ampadu for 12 mil. So yeah, there's plenty to get into. Guys, make sure you run the likes up on both channels. Subscribe to both channels if you haven't done so already. And if you want to guarantee your comment being read out, then use the super chat function as well. I'll try and get through as many things in the chat as I can. But if you want your message guaranteed to be read out, then use the super chat function. Pys, thanks for coming on, bro. It's been a while since you've been here. Good to have you back, mate. I guess let's start with Mason Mount, so we just get it out of the way, because I think the saga it's boring for a lot of Chelsea fans. The third bid has gone in, but just before we talk about that, I mean, what have you made of the way that Mount seemingly behaves? Because for a long time it was kind of like, you know, briefings coming out making Chelsea look good, then briefings coming out making Mount's side of things look good. And now, you know, we're getting stuff from Matt Law, who, as we were talking off air, you know, he notoriously defends Mount to no end. And, you know, if he's reporting this sort of stuff, then you know it kind of, obviously it is true. What have you made of the fact that Mount doesn't want to be at the club and he'd be prepared to run down his contract and leave on a free if necessary?
Yeah, I think it's very, very interesting. You know, I think this whole situation is extremely hard to sort of judge who's in the right, who's in the wrong. I think in the end of the day, it's probably a little bit of both. I think this relationship is way past any sort of, you know, chance of resolution. You know, even 5% chance of, I do seriously think it's at like 0%. I think we have to accept, you know, the bid that Manchester United have made today. And, you know, we've rejected 2 bids already. You know, Manchester United have made it clear that they're going to, you know, reportedly pull out of this deal if we do reject these bids. And obviously what Matt Law's just reported about 10 minutes before we've gone live is that, you know, Mount has indicated he will leave on a free if Chelsea reject all of the bids for him this summer. So, you know, it doesn't look good on Mason's Mount's end. You know, obviously there's going to be club PR as well that comes out and, you know, makes it look like the club did everything to keep him to stay and all this sort of thing. So, you know, I've said this 100 times now. I don't really, you know, I'm not going to call him a snake or this or that until, you know, more information comes out after he's left. And we'll see what reaction he gets when he comes to Stamford Bridge next season, because, you know, as much as, you know, Chelsea fans, you know, did love Mason Mount, obviously going to a direct rival and not signing a new deal, you know, you can't really put all the blame on the club, in my opinion, you know. So I've always said if Mason Mount really wanted to stay, could he have, you know, not accepted, you know, one of the bids we made to him? But at the end of the day, we're also in a period of football in the modern football era where money is everything, despite, you know, loyalty and that type of thing to your club, him being here since he's 8 years old. So yeah, I think this one gets done. I think Mount has chosen Manchester United because of the money signs on the wages, to be honest with you. You know, and yeah, it is what it is. You know, it does seem crazy that this is actually happening. As I said, I did think Mason Mount and Reece James would be the 2 players that would be here for, you know, 5, 10, you know, maybe even longer, you know, the next sort of John Terry and Lampard, you know, maybe. So it's not turned out like that. Let's just hope Reece James is that guy to stay here, you know, very long term.
Yeah, it is mad, because like I always looked at it with Mount, and, you know, obviously last season was a difficult season. He was terrible, injury plagued as well, which is obviously doesn't help his cause. I think he got 3 goals and a couple of assists, which is not good. But, you know, you could argue that's probably his worst season in his career to date. You know, players do have bad seasons, but it's something's obviously changed in him. I don't know what it is, whether it's new agents, whether he's being advised by different people, he's getting bad advice or whatnot, or whether if he doesn't like the new ownership or the direction that Chelsea potentially going in. Like these are all things that could be legitimate, but ultimately, like you said, mate, I'm not going to call him a snake and all this and that until we get more information comes out. And mate, do you reckon how interesting you think it's going to be when obviously he does get unveiled at United? Like, do you think? I mean, what do you think he could possibly have to say for himself? I mean, do you think he'll even touch on the Chelsea stuff, or do you just reckon we'll never hear from him about it?
So what was that, Ron?
Do you reckon we'll ever hear from Mount about the Chelsea stuff? Like when he gets unveiled at United, do you think he'll speak about it? Do you think we'll ever get the truth from it?
No, I don't think so. I don't think he'll speak about Chelsea. Maybe he'll put something in a goodbye statement, but you'd probably be wise to turn off the comments on that one as well. I mean, he's not going to get a good reception online. I mean, you can I'm pretty clear by the news I post about him, and everyone's calling him a snake and this and that, and people who don't have the inside intel and that type of thing, you would just say, yeah, he is a snake, because what else are you supposed to go off apart from the reports? I mean, maybe Mason Mount's dad will say something. I know he handled a lot of the negotiations for this deal, which again is questionable in itself. Why would you not get a proper agent involved? Like, that's very questionable. But I think we also saw this. You remember when Callum Hudson-Odoi had that massive saga about his contract? He let his brother's his agent, right? So family members in charge of professional contract negotiations, you're always going to have bias. You're always going to have demands.
Well, Christensen as well, didn't we? His dad was in charge. Yeah,
that perhaps the club just they don't want to meet. So I'm sure there's other things that have been discussed as well. Like Mount probably sees himself as an absolute guaranteed starter, whereas the club might not now. They've brought Christopher Nkunku in. And then there's the flip side of that. If he's afraid of fighting for his place, maybe he should leave. Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, the way I see it is obviously, bigger and better players than Mount have left the club, and your likes of your Hazards, your Juan Matters and whatnot. And Chelsea existed before Mount, existed while he was here, and it will exist long after him as well. Like, it's not like we're losing, a world-class player, but I do feel it's something that could have been so easily avoided. Something, that this in theory should have been the easiest contract to do out of the lot. Easier than Reece, easier than, Trevor Chalobah, Chilwell, Silva, Broja, all these guys. This should have been the easiest one to do. It shouldn't have been a problem to do at all. So, yeah, I mean, obviously something's gone majorly wrong. I mean, mate, how much do you reckon we'll miss him? Like, forget this season because he's been shocking, but in general, do you think we're going to miss him a lot, or actually it depends on who comes in to replace him will kind of determine how much we're going to miss him?
Yeah, I think he's a good player, but I don't think, like you said, we've lost better players. I got through Eden Hazard leaving. I can certainly get through Mason Mount leaving. Like, come on, let's be serious here. So I think he'll be a loss in terms of, I suppose the output that he's provided, especially in that season under Tuchel when he got 30 goals, assists overall. But at the end of the day, we've lost better players, and I'm excited for the future. I think our recruitment team has delivered thus far from January onwards, and I think maybe there's a couple of question marks over Mudryk and that, but I think overall we've done pretty good business, and if we do sign a replacement, or perhaps Nkunku is just the guy to start over him anyway, then I'm happy with that. I'm looking forward to the future. I think when players go out, it's always about how do you respond to that? Do you respond with a worse player, or do you respond with a player that is better or could potentially be better, has a very high ceiling? So, I think as long as we respond or have responded with Nkunku, then I'm happy with it. I'm fine. I'm content.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. And ultimately, as I say, like £55 million or whatever with 1 year left on the contract. All right, you'd like to try and get a bit more, but ultimately, I think that's probably a fair price. I mean, and to get 65 million for Kai Havertz, 55 million for Mason Mount, if that's what they're going to settle on, we're looking at what, 110 million quid, might be slightly more. My maths is shocking. 65 and 55, yeah, about 110, I think, or maybe slightly more. That's pretty good going for both these players. But bro, if I said to you at the end of the season that Mount and Havertz were both going to be sold, would you have thought that would be the case?
No. I thought, well, I mean, it's not so much of a no. I mean, I did think that Havertz could potentially be one that would be out the door. But Mason Mount, I mean, his contract negotiations have been going on for a long time, many months, and I always thought that there'd be a resolution eventually. You know, there was a time where I was like, yeah, there's no chance he leaves Chelsea. You know, he is Chelsea, but it's crazy, isn't it? Anything can happen, and yeah, I mean, you know, that super chat there, you know, I hate that phrase, proper Chelsea, but
like proper Chelsea is just like, because I mean, I'll be honest, bro, I've said it before, like been guilty of saying it. It's just like, it's not even a thing. It's just something that people have just made up.
Yeah, I think proper Chelsea, you know, you John Terry's and you know, committed to the club, like, you know, that sort of thing. But it's certainly funny, I suppose, when you go back to Mount's UCL final interview and he's like, you know, I am Chelsea and like this is, you know, my club and all that. And then a couple of years later, he's off to Man United. So, and let's not forget, it could have been Arsenal or Liverpool as well. It's just Man United have you know, come in strongest. So
yeah, I mean, hindsight's a great thing, but ultimately, mate, I don't know if you agree with me. This contract should have been dealt with straight after the Champions League final when we won in Porto. He should have been offered a new contract then. And no, I don't want to go back to the previous regime and start, you know, point scoring and all this business. But those contracts should have been dealt with back then. It should have been new contracts for Mount then, Rudiger, Christensen. You know, these guys should have all been offered new deals after the Champions League final, and then we wouldn't have been in the situation that we're in now. All right, Rudiger and Christensen, yeah, we could have got money for them, but we kind of moved on from that. We have got some decent defenders in. But, I mean, do you feel that a lot of these contracts for players should have been dealt with after we won in Porto?
Yeah, I mean, it would have been good. But on the flip side, you know, if Rudiger had stayed, you know, maybe we wouldn't, you know, maybe he wouldn't have performed as well, you know, when Tuchel got sacked and, you know, then we wouldn't have Badiashile and Fofana. So, you know, I think it's an interesting debate. You know, Christensen as well. I think he was always a very good player for us, but he missed, you know, quite a few games as well. So, yeah, you know, football goes round in circles, and this is just the latest edition of the madness at Chelsea. I can't wait to see what's next in the next couple of years. You know.
Well, mate, I'm excited to find out, bro. It's 120 million. I'll be honest, that's pretty good business. For like to get, just quickly on Havertz, by the way, mate. Can you believe we've managed to get 65 million pounds back for him? Literally, pretty much. Well, give or take a few mil here or there. We've pretty much made our money back on someone that, since he arrived, has done absolutely nothing on a consistent basis. Like his value should have dropped a lot, and yet we still somehow managed to get 65 million. I know the owners and some of the directors have taken a little bit of stick, but credit where credit's due. They've actually been pretty good at negotiating deals. I mean, are you surprised we were able to get that much for Havertz?
Yeah, I am surprised. Honestly, I said I would take 50 mil for Havertz. Yeah. You know, I think there's been different reports of what we paid for Havertz as well. I think Ornstein said about, you know, with add-ons it was like 90 million, and then Matt Law said it was like 72 million plus add-ons. So in any case, I think, you know, we've done really well there on Havertz. I mean, it's fantastic. And Arsenal, the thing is with Havertz is like, I don't see where he quite fits with Arsenal, but then, you know, Arteta's going to have a role for him. Otherwise, you don't spend that sort of money. So I'm intrigued to see how he does there. Hope he flops like he has for us in the Premier League. You know, forever grateful for that Champions League final goal. But, man, honestly, like, I'm just, anyone who just actually doesn't mind, you know, doesn't care that much about staying, just get gone, man. Like, honestly, I'm so sick of it. Every season we go into seasons with players that are just, you know, they say they love the club, they you know, come out to the media and they provide positive quotes and this and that, and oh, we're disappointed after a loss, and then in the summer, you know, they're looking at their fucking options. It's like, just go away, honestly. Like, so I don't care about Havertz. I don't care about Havertz. Get out, man.
I think it was you that posted on Twitter a few days ago, mate, where Havertz, like 3 weeks ago, just over 3 weeks ago, posted something, you know, saying he was looking forward to the new season at Chelsea.
Yeah, it's just hilarious. Like, what do you believe nowadays? Like, honestly, like, I remember, honestly, when I used to like slander Havertz for his, you know, performances, people were like, oh, you know, at least he cares, and, you know, at least he looks deflated. Does he? Fuck, he's gone to Arsenal after we've had one of our worst seasons. Like, this guy's just dipped, man. Like, what are you on about?
Yeah, it's I mean, to be fair, like I know there's been a lot of people like in the chat and on streams and previous ones saying that like they're not happy with Havertz going to Arsenal. But the way I see it is, would I rather keep Kai Havertz or sell him to Arsenal? I'd rather sell him. So, like, ultimately, you know, if he does well at Arsenal, so be it. The fact is, he wasn't doing well at Chelsea, and we need to get rid. If he goes and does well elsewhere, that's fine. But if you're not performing for Chelsea, then you need to be sold, and that's ultimately kind of the bottom line. But just to round out this Mount segment, mate, when do you expect this to be wrapped up? I mean, obviously it's hard to tell, but you would imagine this will be the bid that will get accepted, and then you think this will be done in the next week to 10 days.
I think even, you know, maybe tomorrow or Sunday, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think Matt Law said the owners are talking tonight. So, you know, I think when they get involved as well, I think it's, you know, it's a final crunch decision. You know, I'd heard about sort of like 2 or 3 hours ago now that they were like reviewing and looking at the offer in terms of the sporting directors. So I think it's going to get accepted. I don't see us turning it down, honestly, unless we've got more intel than the media that United will come back again. That's the only reason I see us rejecting it. But I think if United have said as well, you know, this is our final offer, like take it or leave it offer, I don't see us rejecting. We'd be in too much of a sort of risk to do that. And I mean, even on the tweet there, Fabrizio says, well, what's important in that tweet as well is he says, told it also includes better payment terms, which is obviously very, very important in any deals with FFP nowadays. It means, you know, we'll probably get our money quicker. So, I see it getting accepted. I don't see it getting rejected at all.
No, I don't either. Bro, just a couple of super chats here to go through. Big up for the donation from Daily Football. Classic age-old question. Pys, so what are you, bro? Are you a Messi or Ronaldo?
Messi by far.
Yeah? Oh, no, mate, I can't lie. Mate, I've always been a Ronaldo guy.
Really?
Yeah. But Ronaldo for me. But obviously both top players. Appreciate the donation. There's one more here. When you use your family member as an agent too much, if feelings are involved, there's going to be a lot of pressure on him. I mean, just quickly, mate, how do you think he'll do at Man United?
I think he'll do well, to be honest with you. I do. I think he'll do better than Havertz does at Arsenal. I'm pretty confident on that. I think he'll contribute to United with goals and assists. I don't know how much he elevates them. Like, they've already got Bruno Fernandes. They've already got, I know Eriksen's a bit older, but he's still a good player for them. You know, I don't know how much. I mean, he's definitely an upgrade on Eriksen nowadays, but like, I don't know if he's oh shit, you know, United are now like title challengers or something like that.
Yeah, I agree.
I think he does well. Like, I think he'll have a good season. I don't know how much of a good season, but I do think he'll do well. I just don't think he's he takes them over to, you know, the next edge. I think United need a striker similar to us. I know we've got Jackson, but, you know, we'll see on that one. United need a new goalkeeper. You know, they need better depth. So Mount's a good signing for them, but I don't think it's like, you know, a huge signing, like a game changer almost, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, bro, like, you could see Casemiro playing and then maybe him and like Bruno and Mount playing, or Bruno and Eriksen. I reckon Mount will just rotate with Eriksen. But yeah, I think I agree. I think he'll do all right. But let's move on from this, bro. Let's get on to some positive news, shall we say? Nicolas Jackson is going to complete his move to Chelsea imminently. Chelsea have reached full agreement to sign Nicolas Jackson. Villarreal have accepted Chelsea to pay a little bit more than the €35 million release clause, but with better payment terms, medical schedule, so personal terms are all agreed to. This is done. There's going to be no danger of an Ugarte situation reappearing on us. Mate, in the group chat, you know, you were saying that, you know, you're excited, like unknown signings kind of excite you a little bit more. I would also agree. We've kind of been down the road of spending hundreds of millions of pounds on proven strikers who have done absolutely nothing at this club. Why don't we go down a different route, with a data-driven route, someone who's a little bit less well-known, and see how we get on there? I mean, what are your thoughts on this signing? Because I look at it as low risk, high reward in terms of just shy of £30 million or just over. You know, very high ceiling, and he's of an age where at 22, if in 2 to 3 years' time it doesn't necessarily work out, then, you know, we'll be in a position where we can at least make our money back or even make a profit on him. So I look at it as low risk, high reward, and almost a win-win situation. I mean, what are your thoughts on this Jackson deal? Because I don't think many of us at the end of the season would have been saying, oh yeah, Chelsea are going to sign Nicolas Jackson.
No, you cut out a little bit there, bro. I got the start of it, but
Yeah, I was just saying, bro. What are your thoughts on Jackson? Because I don't think any of us would
Oh,
have
Jackson.
any of us would have said that Chelsea would have signed Jackson when the season finished.
Right, yeah. I mean, just goes to show again. I guess our sort of data recruitment team has found this one. Um, I don't know. I'm struggling to get too overhyped by it, but I think this is a player that could be, like he could be another gem for us. I guess he's got really really good hold up play. He's fast. He's got good movement. His conversion rate in terms of like shots and finishes in front of goal is very very good. So these are all very good things. It's just how does he adapt to the Premier League? Especially if he's a starting striker. Like for us, like how does he adapt to that pressure? Like he's only 21 as well. Like he's not. He's only really come into the Villarreal team this season as well.
Yeah.
Like so, I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic, I would say, but yeah, I don't want to go like too overboard with it. I still think we need a starting striker.
Yeah, I mean, how do you see him fitting in? Like in terms of, because obviously, he obviously does play centre forward, but he has also played off the left hand side as well. Could be useful as an extra option there, given once we sell Pulisic and whatnot, we're only going to have Mudryk, Madueke, and Sterling, so he could be another option on that left hand side or on one of the wings, as well as Nkunku could possibly be as well. It's a lot of pressure. Like he's a tall lad, physical, good hold up play. Could have some sort of a decent role to play, but I mean. Does this excite you? Do you think he's better than Broja, who's of a similar age, and Chelsea have seemingly put a lot of faith in him? Do you think there's much difference between the two of them?
I don't know. I'd say the Broja at Southampton probably not. I think he was, he had everything that Jackson has, and he was doing it in the Premier League. He's better aerially as well. One of the downsides to Jackson game is he's quite tall, but he's not very good aerially in terms of stats. So yeah, I don't know. I mean. I'm looking forward to pre-season. That's all I'll say. We've got a lot of games, and I want to see what Broja comes back like because he's still got that burst of pace. What does he look like on the ball? And I'm looking forward to see Jackson as well. But I think Jackson will play up front. I think we've got enough wing options, and also think what Chelsea probably look for now when they sell Havertz is they'll probably look for like a number 10 that can play. When Nkunku needs a rest or something, or in case Nkunku gets injured. Who can also play like on the right hand side, like the Eriksen role where he kind of drifted in for what sort of Spurs did, what Pochettino did with Spurs with sort of like prime Eriksen. So I think that could be something we look at. There's a few potential options there. I know Gabri Vega is obviously the one linked, but there's Szoboszlai as well from Leipzig. There's Maddison. There's Kudus perhaps as well. I know Chelsea like him, so yeah, there's a few options there for us, and I'd just be interested to see what we do. I think though we do need to go big on the midfield, get Caicedo done. We've got loads of money in the bank, and goalkeeper as well is a big one for me. I know some people are happy to go in the season with Kepa, but I'd be a bit sort of like, come on, like. We got so many sales on. Like, let's spend the money. Like, it'd be a bit annoying if we spent all of our money in the last like 2 windows, before that. So
no, I mean, to be honest though, bro, I don't have a huge issue with Kepa being goalkeeper for one more season if it means that we can spend that money on more money on midfielders, more money on forwards. But just on forwards, right? Do you think, because I don't know if I'm sure you've seen the Nkunku interview on the fifth stand up and that. I swear in somewhere he said that he actually prefers playing as a striker. I could have completely made that up. But I mean, obviously the plan is to play him as number 10. But you look at the centre forward market, obviously Jackson's coming. We've got Bro, we've got Nkunku who could play there. Obviously his best position is as a second striker or 10, whatever you want to call it. There's not been that, it's all gone a little bit quiet on other forward options at the moment. I mean, I think we're obviously in agreement that we do need another, perhaps, quote unquote, bigger name to come in that forward position. But do you think we'll get one?
I don't know. It's so difficult to say. Again, like when I look at like the strikers, I think, if Broja is staying, then I honestly don't think we will get another one because I think. You got Broja, Jackson, and Nkunku, who's already said in his interview he did today. I think they're being posted on Instagram, but his favourite position is striker. Now, of course, that could just be mistranslation. Maybe he thinks striker is behind the striker, or whatever way he's been playing. But I don't honestly. Right now I don't think so, but it depends. Like, there's always a chance, obviously, because ideally you want your every player in for pre-season, but like, say we play 2 pre-season matches and Broja isn't like fancied by Pochettino, then maybe Poch is like, right, yeah, let's go for a striker or something. So I think there's time still in the window, obviously. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, there's plenty of time. I mean, out of the names that we've been linked with, obviously Osimhen, Vlahovic, Lautaro Martinez, and whatnot. Who would be your preference out of those 3? I mean, who do you think would fit in best? I mean, for me, I'm probably somewhere between Lautaro Martinez or Dusan Vlahovic. I think, look, Osimhen's a great player, but ultimately, I think we've been down the route of spending huge money on centre forwards and it not working out. Obviously, Martinez and Vlahovic would cost more, but I just think that maybe one of those 2 might be better suited to Chelsea than Osimhen. But out of those 3, because they seem to be the 3 main ones, obviously Kolo Muani, there seems to be kind of links every so often to him. Who would you be more inclined to go with out of kind of the 3 with Osimhen, Vlahovic, and Lautaro Martinez?
Personally, I think Vlahovic is the most sort of Premier League suited striker in terms of attributes. Lautaro, I think, would probably fit best in a Poch system in terms of fluidity as well with the other attackers. I just don't know if he gets you as many goals, but having said that, I mean, he scored a lot of goals for Inter Milan this season. So, I think with Lautaro as well, my question has always been, can he play as a lone striker? Everything in his career has suggested no. So, I think, who else did you mention? Osimhen, I don't think will happen.
No.
Kolo Muani won't happen. 85 mil for, he's unproven as well. And again, I see him more as I don't know. I don't really see him as a goal scorer, to be honest with you. I watched the Leipzig Frankfurt final, and I've watched a few other games of him, and he's more of a sort of guy who runs the channels. Provides for others. I just don't see us, like, if we're going to get a striker, I want like an out and out number 9, someone who can just attack the box, win headers, that sort of thing. So maybe it is worth going for a Vlahovic. Maybe it's worth going for someone cheaper and waiting until other options emerge, because I think all striker options have an element to risk. So maybe you go Premier League and you get someone proven like a Mitrovic or something. I don't know, but I think Lautaro could probably fit the best in a Poch system in terms of pressing, in terms of how he does the one-touch link-up. I think that could work quite nicely with Nkunku, but I would be scared he would flop because he'd be on his own up front. Even though he'd have all these players surrounding him, he'd still have defenders like 2-3. Like, you get much tighter marking, much Premier League's just a better league in general, so better standard of defending. So I think he would flop, but who knows?
I mean, bro, I've talked about this before. Do you think there's any chance, right, that we stick with what we've got in terms of Jackson, Broja, and Nkunku, and then we wait until January and try and get Tony? Like, do you think there's any chance of that potentially happening? Like, if Tony was a genuine target, and like, ultimately for me, I think he'd be the best fit at Chelsea. Do you think there could be any chance that we get by with these 3 guys until January, and then we go for Tony? Or do you think the Tony thing's just like long gone now?
I wouldn't say it's long gone, but again, I think there's going to be competition anyways, and I think Brighton will probably get a bidding war for Tony at some point. But I do think as well it will be kind of a risk for a club to go in January. I think maybe next summer, if he comes back, because as well, you got to remember, I think he comes back in January, but it'll take like a month to actually get match fit anyway. So I don't see us going for him in January. Maybe next summer if we still haven't sorted this whole striker nonsense out. But it's interesting because all the media briefings are saying striker is. Striker and midfielder are the most important things for Chelsea this summer. And we've signed a striker who's not proven. And it's like, well, what's going on here then? So, I don't want to put Jackson down, but it's a little bit worrying that we've not sort of attacked one of the big names as such.
Yeah, no, I agree. Must we buy a big name striker? it's so difficult to tell. Like, you'd think yes for me, but then again, we've been down that route so many times and it hasn't worked out. So you think maybe it's time to go for a different route rather than having like one big name up top. Maybe we go for like a more of a team effort, more of a collective. I'm not sure. I mean, it's such a tough one. Because as we've been discussing, the striker market isn't that good this summer. There's not that many options to go. Obviously, Kane is an obvious one, but that's not going to happen. And the others represent somewhat of a gamble, as does every transfer. So, yes, whilst I think a lot of Chelsea fans wouldn't be happy if we went in with Broja and Jackson as our two strikers next season, like, who's to say that would be any worse? Who's to say that that would be worse than saying having an Osimhen? Like, we don't really know. So yeah, I don't know. I think there's a chance we could get one more, but ultimately I think midfield would be more important than a striker for me. We have got strikers, but I don't know. As you said, bro, I don't want to put Jackson down, but I just don't see him being the sort of guy. I mean, bro, how many goals do you reckon Jackson and Broja would get between them in the league? Do you think is 20 too much to ask for between the two of those? Like 10 each?
I don't even think they'd get that, to be honest with you.
No, I don't reckon.
I really don't. I mean, no, I don't think so. Yeah. How could you say they would based on our previous years? I mean,
yeah,
we've had massive troubles creating chances as well. So yeah, I don't know. It's really hard to call, but I think the last striker who scored even over 10 goals was Tammy, right? He scored 15, and
no one.
Even with Tammy, it was similar to how Jackson's done that end of the season at Villarreal. We almost scored like all of his goals or 80% of his goals in a month. So I don't know. I personally just want to go down the route and be sort of, even if it's self-satisfied, knowing we've got that number one striker up front. We're excited for him. If he flops, it's just add on to the list. At this point, who cares? But I do think we need to spend the money up front personally. Otherwise, I will be worried going into next season.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, man, there's so many on the list. What's one more name added to the list going to make a difference at this point? By the way, guys, make sure you run the likes up. More than 200 of you locked in over on Chelsea Fan TV, about 120 odds locked in on my channel. Only 38 likes on my channel, guys. That's worse than Chelsea conversion rate. So make sure you run the likes up on my channel, guys. Hover over that thumb button, give it a little click. It massively helps me out, spreads the stream to more people. So let's run those likes up, guys. Let's get this to at least 50. Let's try and get this to 100. There's more than enough of us locked in, so make sure you smash the likes and run the likes up over on Chelsea Fan TV as well, people. And whilst you're at it, make sure you subscribe to both channels as well. I'll pop the links of both channels in the chat now, guys. Make sure if you haven't subscribed to myself or Chelsea Fan TV, make sure you show us both some love, people. So both links are now in the chat, and subscribe if you haven't done so. It'd be greatly appreciated. Bro, sticking with strikers, the Romelu Lukaku saga. Inter Milan are sort of taking a piss with us, really. Matt Law reporting that a £7 million loan offer has been rejected for Lukaku. Bro, we just can't get rid of this guy. How do you see this situation? Obviously, there's offers from Saudi. He doesn't want to go to Saudi. He wants to stay in Europe. That's okay. That's his right to do so. Obviously, Chelsea would like him to take that Saudi move. Report saying that Koulibaly might try and convince him to go there. What do you think is going to happen with Lukaku ultimately? Because the only way a loan works for me, mate, is if there's an obligation to buy at the end of it. I mean, how do you view this Lukaku situation at the moment? Because essentially, arguably, it's definitely been the worst transfer in our history. Could be one of the worst transfers ever, just in general.
Yeah, huge flop. We can't get rid of him. The reports coming out from Italy saying basically he's crying about us. Like not letting him go back there. Like, guys, it's been a massive waste of time, honestly. How excited we all were for him coming back.
Man, I was so gassed for him coming in.
We all fell for the story. Like, oh mate, it just honestly, this guy, get him as far away from our club, or just put him in the under 21s and make him suffer there.
Bro, remember when he scored at the Emirates and we were like, "Fuck, we're gonna win the league."
Bro, I was so gassed. Like, yeah, no, honestly, it was mad.
It was mad. But I mean, what do you see happening? Do you see us kind of reaching a compromise with Inter Milan? Like, how do you see this one going? Because I don't think we're going to be kind of mugged off in this situation. Like, if Inter want him, they're going to have to cough up a decent loan fee. You're probably going to be thinking, well, if it was 8 million last time out, you're going to be wanting at least 10 this time round minimum.
Yeah, no, I think he'll go back to Inter Milan. I think as the summer goes on, we'll just sort of do everything we can to sort of get him away from the club, because I've been told as well that Pochettino doesn't want anyone coming into the training sessions that's not fully committed to this project. So I do think that Chelsea will give in and let Lukaku go to Inter Milan. And yeah, I mean, you know what's funny is, like, when I first saw this, I actually thought that was a sizable, like, actual loan offer. I think 7 million for a 1-year loan is actually quite a lot of money. But yeah, I don't know. I guess it's not when we bought him for 100 million, but
and when we paid 11 million for a 6-month loan for Felix,
yeah.
so I guess it's going to be interesting. I mean, do you think he'll? I mean, pre-season's not that far away. Do you think this will be resolved before then? Do we really want him coming back to Cobham and stuff like that? I mean, we might not have a choice.
Mate, it needs to get resolved. It needs to get resolved. The meeting we had, I think it was last week with Inter Milan, that was reported, obviously didn't go down well. We've heard no news on Onana since then. It's been more Man United at the moment. Koulibaly, obviously, we said no, and he's gone to Saudi Arabia because they wanted him on loan as well. There's rumours they want Chalobah. There's rumours now that they want Azpi. Like, cough up some money, honestly. Like, this is why you see so many transfers now to direct Premier League teams, because they're the only clubs that have got money in the bank. Like, these other clubs can't afford it, especially the wages. The wages is a big issue for players like Lukaku and other players as well.
Yeah, no, I do agree. Buying a big bench didn't hurt, man. Yeah, we do need a killer up front. There's just not many of those around. Big up for the donation. Appreciated. Signing Jackson is a clear sign that we're actually using a data-driven approach to recruitment. His metrics are insane. He can play wide too, so the door is open for Brea to become our main striker. But just briefly, Brea, what have you made of kind of the way that the recruitment department and stuff and the recruitment team have gone about the business sort of January onwards, because they weren't in place for the summer window? I mean, it's still early to say, but are you impressed with the work they're doing? Do you like the fact that we're going down this data-driven approach now? It's different to anything we've done before. I mean, what are your thoughts on it? I know it's hard to judge because no one's really had enough time at the club yet, but what are your thoughts on it?
I like it, but I think I've said it many times. I'd still like to get some more experience as well in the squad. I do think we're buying too many young players, and like Arsenal, I do have a fear that will we hit a ceiling? Will we get to a certain point where maybe we do have a really good season, and then when it matters, do they crack under pressure, sort of thing? Who are the voices in the changing room that are going to lead the speeches on the big games and stuff like that? So yeah, those are my concerns. I would like a few more sort of leaders in the team and more older, experienced players that have been through the tough times, when it does get tough. Yeah, so I like it, but I do think we've not got much of a balance at the moment. They're not getting the right course for me.
No, but we certainly haven't got much of a balance at this point in time. But I mean, experience is twofold. Age doesn't always necessarily equal experience, but you want players experienced at in the big moments, experienced at winning things, and that leadership situation needs to be drastically addressed as well. But yeah, appreciate the donation, bro. Moving away from Lukaku, then let's just hope this can get solved. Let's move on to what I was going to talk about next. Let's move on to Cesar Azpilicueta. I mean, to be honest, bro, I think we were, I mean, I'm pretty sure you were there as well. Last game of the season at Newcastle, obviously you had the banner and stuff. Then on the lap of honour, I don't know if you stayed for the lap of honour, but the lap of honour didn't really get any indications that he was kind of saying a farewell. Clearly, he's had a conversation with the club and he's not going to play as much this season. That's an absolute given. Are you surprised that he's looking to leave or wants to leave? I don't really have any problem with this at all. He's not going to play. He's been a phenomenal player for us. And shocked that it's Inter Milan that are interested in his services as well. But I mean, did this Azpi news surprise you at all that he's going to leave?
It did surprise me a little bit because I was told someone very close to Azpilicueta that he wasn't going to leave. He wanted to stay. Poch did value experience, and essentially the reason why he wasn't going to leave is because he's having a house built near Cobham, and his kids are very, very settled. They're all in school and that type of thing. He wanted to stay one more year and see out his contract before then potentially retiring. But it does seem that he's had conversations with the club, and I was told that the club told him he's not going to play much anymore. So
Yeah.
I think currently he's trying to work out logistics of sort of what to do with his family and stuff like that. Because, what I was told was that essentially, obviously, because his kids are in school and stuff like that, like if he goes over to another country for a year, he doesn't want to like move them all over, learn a new language for one whole year, then just come straight back anywhere, because he wants to stay in London with his new house. So, he's trying to work out logistics of sort of like, how does he, if he goes abroad, then sort of, what happens to his kids? Because if he brings them over for 1 year, they're then unsettled. They're coming back in a year anyway, basically, is what was said to me. So, it did surprise me a little bit. It did surprise me because I think definitely the plan was for him to stay. And I was there at the lap of honour, and like you said, I even when his banner sort of was out and stuff like that, like I would have expected him to definitely shed a few tears and stuff because his last game, and he never did. So I thought maybe the info I got was right at the time, and I definitely think it was, but it's obviously developed since then.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, just quickly from Chelsea, I think he's referring to Breyer and Jackson. I mean, mate, if they score 30 goals between them, fantastic. But I mean, at this point in time, there's not really any evidence to suggest that will happen. Or if you mean Nkunku as well, then maybe that's slightly more likely. I don't really know. But Pys, in terms of a fee for Azpilicueta, what do we reckon, bro? Because 1 year left on the contract, 32 years of age, I think, could be going on 33. Surely there's not much of a fee to be had here. We're thinking, is 5 million too much?
Well, if it's Inter Milan, then yeah, definitely too much. I think Demarcio said actually he's going to try and terminate his contract by like mutual consent and then leave on a free. So,
fair.
Yeah, I think if Aubameyang agrees to Saudi, we may get a small fee, but other than that, I think Alba and Azpi probably leave on a free, both of them.
I mean, I don't think anyone's got an issue with Azpilicueta leaving. I mean, just on that, mate, who, when he does leave, which it looks like he will do, who do you think is going to be the new captain?
I put a poll out about this yesterday as well. I think Silva will be.
For 1 year?
I do think he'll get it. And then I think after that, James will take over. I think there's only real 3 options, or maybe 4. Some were saying Kepa, obviously, because he's been here a long time, but I don't know about that.
No, well, mate, he's part of that quote unquote leadership group, isn't he? Whatever they call it.
I mean, some people were sending me that video. I can't remember what game it was, but we were so close. I think it was when Potter, was it Lampard or Potter? There was a game where Kepa was like literally grabbing Cucurella and like 3 of the others, and he was like talking tactics, and that was like the pinnacle of our banter season last year. The fact that Kepa was doing that and not the manager. I remember watching that. I was like, oh my god, like we are so finished. Like, why is Kepa being the manager, bro? Like, but yeah, I'd throw him in there. I'd say, I don't want him to be, but I could certainly see like Sterling being up there because of obviously England and how long he's been around Premier League sort of thing. But
I think Enzo's got potential to be groomed.
He doesn't speak English though, does he? Like, I know Silva doesn't, but like he's, I don't know. I think Silva just gets it on like that. Authority, like legend status sort of thing. I think, football icon sort of.
Just on Silva quickly, bro. Obviously, Azpilicueta's had a conversation with the club, and he's obviously not going to play hardly at all. Do we think that? I mean, obviously, Silva said he wants to stay and whatnot, and he's happy to be at the club. He obviously loves it here. Do you think? How regularly do you think he's going to feature next season? Because we've kind of just taken it for granted that he's just going to start every week. But do you think Pochettino sees it the same way?
I think he'll still start a lot, to be honest, bro. Especially if Chalobah leaves. Silva, Fofana, Badiashile, Colwell. I mean, 4 centre-backs is quite risky, especially if one gets injured. Yeah. So I would probably like a 5th. Maybe just keep Chalobah. Like, I don't know why not. But, I do think, as it stands, he'd probably be a major part of the team because of our other options that are not really sort of yeah, I mean, we've only got 2 right centre back options if Chalobah leaves. It's Silva and Fofana. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, unless like one of the young guys stick around, like what's his name? The Bashir Humphreys, I think maybe he
Oh,
will
yeah.
stick
He was
around.
on loan last season, wasn't he? Somewhere in
Yeah,
Germany.
Paderborn. I know he did very well. So I mean, maybe there's like an underrated shout like him that does well in pre-season, but I highly doubt it. Yeah, I think he'll play a big role still.
Yeah, no, I think so as well. I mean, on centre backs whilst we're on it, obviously we're going to play a back four, we presume. 6 centre backs is way too many. It's now down to 5 because Koulibaly's gone. Obviously, there's like, for me, Chalobah's obviously been linked with Inter Milan. He's under contract until 2028. There is an option for another year, so he could be in theory under contract for the next sort of 6 years if Chelsea took that option up. Unless he wants to go, I don't really see any reason to sell him. Inter aren't going to offer what he's worth. And if we end up selling him, we're just going to have to go and buy another centre-back anyway. So, I mean, is there any truth in reports with Monaco's Axel Diassi, I think it is? Any truth in that? Have you seen anything or, heard anything that, Diassi from Monaco could be an option for Chelsea if obviously Chalobah were to leave?
I think it was reported in L'Equipe who are reliable. I've not heard anything personally, but I can see that one potentially coming up, especially obviously Lawrence Stewart. He was obviously high up at Monaco. That's probably why we got Badiashile as well. Yeah, maybe he's quite cheap, but again, like why not just keep Chalobah? Like unless Chalobah really wants to like play week in week out, I'll just keep Chalobah. To be honest with you, like I don't see why we need to spend on another centre back. Like that was not part of this window, right? This was what we told anyway. No one mentioned centre back. So, but it's quite funny. Is like Chelsea always seem to find a way to buy a fucking centre back. So
they love buying centre backs, man.
We do. Like it will just happen. Watch. We'll go and nick Vardy off for no reason.
Bro, we've signed so many centre backs in the last few windows. It's actually mad. Like so many.
It's like we have to sign one to feel content about the window. Like we got some mad addiction, honestly.
It's certainly a strange one. I mean, just quickly on Levi Colwill, how much do you envisage him playing next season? Because obviously, Koulibaly's gone now, so there's more of a clear pathway for him into the first team. But with playing once a week, you don't want to rotate your centre back partnership that much at all. You want some continuity at the back. Obviously, he'll definitely get a chance for sure. How much do you see him being played? Obviously, he's very highly rated. He's done very well at Brighton last season. There's a lot of talent there. People are really excited by him at Chelsea. Pochettino reportedly is looking forward to working with him and whatnot. But I mean, bro, how much do you see him playing? Because do you think he goes straight in to start in left centre back? Do you think he's better than Badiashile?
Yeah, I think he'll start. I do think he'll start. I rate him very, very highly. There's going to be. I rate Badiashile very highly as well, but I do think Cole is probably going to be the starter out of the two. I think he'll impress Pochettino the most. But there's they've both got very similar attributes. What's great about both of them is they're both very, very good on the ball. So yeah, I mean it's great for us, healthy competition, right? We hope so. Yeah, I think Cole starts the season though because I'm pretty sure Badiashile might be later on in his recovery, obviously, because he's got injury. So Cole will probably be there from the first day, whereas I don't think Badiashile will. So already Cole has kind of got that head start, to impress Pochettino from day one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he'll start the season for sure, and then we'll see from there whether he keeps his spot.
Yeah, no, I agree. It'll certainly be interesting to see how he deals with a step up and how he does as well. That's certainly going to be an interesting thing. Ricky, big up my guy. Guys, make sure you hit the likes. Let's get these likes up. Let's get to over 100 on Chelsea Fan TV. Let's get close to 100 on my channel as well, guys. We're only on 60 at the moment. Still 120 of us locked in here. 317 across both channels, guys. So make sure you keep hitting those likes. Get those likes up, guys. It massively helps out the stream. So please do that. Bro, let's move away from this. Let's move on to the big talking point now. Moises Caicedo. People getting a little bit impatient, as Chelsea fans always do. But with Caicedo, according to Fabrizio Nazar, saying that Chelsea are understood to be making good progress in negotiations to sign Caicedo from Brighton. Obviously, clearly working on personal terms before going in for a bid. I mean, Firstly, just on the bid, mate, we had it from Fabrizio last week that Chelsea would be bidding this week. It's now Friday night, no bid yet. Obviously, we've still got the weekend. Do you think the bid is waiting for the sales to be confirmed before we bid for him?
Yeah, I think so. I think the interesting thing about Caicedo is Fabrizio said that Chelsea will only bid after the Mount sale is completed. And I was thinking, like, why would that be, considering we've sold Havertz, sold, Koulibaly and Kovacic and others. And then I thought, well, if you think about, like, how the financial accounts work, basically, Havertz and Koulibaly, Kovacic, they won't be, like, pure straight profit on the books, right? Whereas whenever we sell Mason Mount, that profit goes straight on the books.
Yeah.
So I think then we can use part of that Mount money to go into Caicedo. I think that'll probably be the plan, because it's all like the inner workings of the financials and the structure and everything. So yeah, I think the Mount deal has probably been holding us back more than anything. To be honest with you, even though they're not, I'm not saying they're the same position or anything. I'm just saying, like, in terms of how the accounts work, like how we get pure profit from academy players, like you get that money straight away, right? It goes straight into pure profit. So I think that's what they're waiting for is the Mount sale. And also the new financial year starts on the 1st of July. So it'd be interesting to see if we sort of wait closer to then, it's 23rd now, whether we wait until then and to sort of get a deal, and then that Caicedo money can then go on next season's accounts, because currently we're still in this season's accounts until the 30th this month. So I think that's one important factor as well, that potentially is why we haven't had any like crazy bid there. But then again, I mean, Ornstein did say, we had a £60 million bid rejected a couple of weeks ago. So
that must be interesting, wasn't it? No one had no news about that at all.
No, it'll be interesting. A lot of different people are saying different things. So yeah.
I mean, is there any part of you that's concerned that with Rice in for Man City, that yes, it's been reported that Caicedo's got, he wants the Chelsea move. There's full buy-in from the player side. Personal terms are almost agreed. But do you feel that if City get Rice, which they could easily do so, that Arsenal come back into the race and he could be tempted to go there? Or do you think we're very much in the front and it's kind of for us to fuck it up?
No, this is why I've been getting flamed on Twitter, because I've been told I'm negative and need to shut up because I've literally said what you just said. I think if they don't get Rice, I think they're going to be annoyed, and I think they'll spend on Caicedo. And people have been telling me to shut up because I'm just saying what's on my mind. Like, I think realistically, yes, we have a good project, but so do Arsenal. They've just finished second. They were like top of the league for ages. They've already got Arteta, who's obviously been sustainably there for like 3 seasons and has only improved, and they can offer Champions League football straight away, and they'll offer more wages because they're not doing incentivized contract deals like us, where our wages go up. And there's like Arsenal just offering Kai Havertz like 210,000 straight away. So from my position, we better hope they do get Rice, because I think then we get Caicedo. But I'll probably get abused in the YouTube chat as well. Like, I don't know why it's like such an unpopular opinion. Like, everyone's like, oh, he won't choose Arsenal over Chelsea. Like,
he might do.
In the current position, like, how do you know? Like, it's not like if Chelsea had UCL football, right, and we
it's done.
Crazy wage bill, I think there's no way he'd choose Arsenal. But right now, I think he would. So I hope they do get Rice.
But we don't even. But the thing is, like, we don't even want to leave it to chance on that. At this point in time, Arsenal are so preoccupied with Rice. There's no need for us to even try and take a chance on this. Thomas, big up for the donation. Appreciate it. United, bigger club than Chelsea. Historically, yes. Recent history, you'd have to argue no. But thanks anyway for the donation. What else we got popping off in the chat?
Is that just a Man U fan who's just donated you £2? Like, just
to say they're massive. Fair play. How important do you think it is going to be that Winstanley obviously bought Caicedo over from South America and knows his family and stuff? Do you think that's got to be a massive plus, surely? I mean, what have you made of the heat that Winstanley's been taking recently as well? Apparently, you probably know better than me, but he's been taking a bit of heat over like the way that he's been negotiating certain deals. Do you think that's justified?
Well, I mean, I'd say it's embarrassing more than anything if we don't get him. The fact that he used to work at Brighton, like, come on, like, use your contacts here, like, so if that doesn't work in our favour, then maybe we should we should never let him negotiate a deal ever again. Because if you can't get a player from the club you used to be at, then what is your actual use for anything? So that's what I would respond to that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, what do you reckon? What do you make of Winstanley as a director? Do you think he's decent? Do you think he's got good negotiating skills? Do you think Lawrence Stewart's better than him? I mean, do you think that's a good team we've kind of got together there?
So was that, bro?
Do you think we've got a good team in Winstanley and Lawrence Stewart? I mean, do you think they're decent at what they do? Do you think Winstanley is a good negotiator? Can we do better?
I mean, I don't know. I'm not there. I've heard a few things in terms of Winstanley and the contract negotiations, which I'm not too happy with. But in terms of deals, I'm still trying to figure out who's doing what at the moment. I'm asking around, but Bedad Bali and Todd Bowley are probably still involved as well in some way or another in terms of decisions. I'm sure they are. And I think it's a process. They're both new to the club. And it'd be interesting, but they've certainly done very well to clear out, a lot of players so far. I will say that, Koulibaly, Ziyech, Mendy. I know we got some help from Saudi Arabia, but we still have to complete these deals, right? So
yeah,
that's very good. And obviously you can, say Bowley probably had a part in that by going to Saudi. Kovacic, I think, the fee is a bit low, but again, another outgoing. Havertz, very, very good, very, very good. But also, perhaps Edu just being a bit stupid. I know Arsenal fans don't really rate him either as their sporting director. So, I can't really give you a conclusive answer.
Yeah.
To be honest.
On this, bro, obviously Tonali going to Newcastle, great signing for them. Was there ever any sort of interest from Chelsea and Tonali, or anything along those lines? Because I swear there was an Athletic article saying that he was one of the players that Chelsea were kind of looking at potentially.
Yeah, Ornstein did mention Tonali, he mentioned Barella, he mentioned Turan, was it, I think? Others, obviously, as alternatives to Caicedo, some of which didn't make sense because they were different profiles. So that got me a bit confused. But Tonali was never going to come to us for £60 million and be a backup option anyway. So I think that's probably why we didn't go for him, because he's not going to be a starter here with Caicedo and Endo, right? So it wouldn't make sense on his part either.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, just on the Caicedo, mate, how much do you reckon? Do you envisage like Brighton, us requiring multiple bids, or do you think we're just preparing the bid? We know what the price is. It's going to be a one and done sort of thing, or do you think we're going to have to submit multiple bids? And what sort of price we're looking at? Sort of £80 million?
The thing is, I don't think it will take too long. I don't think it'll be a one and done, because I think if you go in with a one and done, I think Brighton may be like, well, if they're obviously, I know Ornstein said we bid 60 mil, but if this is our first proper serious bid and we're just going with 80 million, they might be like, whoa, we didn't expect that. Let's have a little bit more sort of thing. So I do think it might be a little bit like the Mount thing, where I don't know if it will take 3 bids, but I think maybe the second bid will be accepted. Ultimately, it depends on us, to be honest with you, because, the absolute maximum they want is 100 million, right? How, if we bid 75 mil, 80 mil, from there, you're not going up that much. It wouldn't take too long, in my opinion. So, yeah, I'm sure loads of groundwork's obviously been pre-done as well. I'm sure of that. So I don't think it would. I can't envision it taking too long. But if we mess around with payment structures and unfavourable add-ons and players that Brighton don't want, then it could take longer. So I really, really hope we don't mess about, and I don't think they will, because Pochettino literally starts work on the 1st, right? They meet him on the 13th or something, and then from there you've got our first pre-season game. So yeah.
There's not long, and this sort of big deal needs to be done before pre-season starts. No two ways about it. I mean, mate, on other midfielders though, because obviously I don't know if you think the same as me. I think we need more than just Caicedo. We do need one more. What are you hearing on sort of players like Lavia? Do you think Lavia's still high on the list? Is he someone that we can go for next? Because I look at someone like Lavia and you think that's a pretty easy deal to get done. Surely, obviously, Arsenal strongly linked as well. Can you see us moving for Lavia as well, or do you think it could just be Caicedo and we'll make use of the likes of Caicedo, Chukwuemeka and Santos more than we were perhaps initially planning for? Or do you think we could go for a Thuram, a Kone? Where do you see us going with a pursuit for a second midfielder?
Not really sure, to be honest with you. I'd like to get someone a little bit more like attacking, who can sort of play a little bit, further forward, especially if we lose Gallagher and Loftus-Cheek. I don't think we'd have like a real sort of attacking-minded player, even in a pivot. So I would like to go for that over really, a DM more than anything. But again, you could argue we need a backup DM as well, because if we get Caicedo and he plays deeper, and then he needs to rest, then who do you have playing there? Enzo, he needs to rest as well. Yeah. So like, we almost need a backup to Caicedo, a backup to Enzo, and then maybe like one youth player. So we need a lot in midfield, to be fair. This is why I wanted to keep Kovacic. I thought it was a no-brainer, but there we go for depth. But is what it is. I love Loftus-Cheek as well. I think it's a no-brainer to keep him for depth. Keep at least one of these guys. But we're definitely going to have to get at least one more on top of Caicedo. And then in terms of like the young players, I think Caicedo probably go on loan.
Strasbourg?
Yeah. I mean, it'd be funny. There's already been rumours of Fofana, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the one that could get in the team is Santos, to be honest with you. I think he could get in the team. Especially since the club have worked so hard on getting his visa and stuff like that. Like, I think they see him as a, quite a big talent. But again, pre-season, let's see what happens. And the one that I always forget, who I think I rate so highly, is Carney. So, Chukwuemeka is one that I want to see play a lot next season. So maybe we don't find loads of midfielders and give him more game time, because I think he's been absolutely brilliant whenever he's played for us.
Should have played more. I don't think he's had a bad game for us. I think he's been really good. I think he's been treated badly by the club, if we're being totally honest about things. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Next couple of weeks are going to be massive as we round out June, and you see what happens to the midfielders. But yeah, we absolutely have to get this done as quickly as possible. No two ways about it, mate. There's a few people asking about goalkeepers in the chat. Let's segue into that very briefly. Are you surprised that Damartio were reporting that we'd pulled out of the race for Onana? Now, obviously, that could be a negotiating tactic, or it could be, we just don't think he's worth what Inter are saying. Do you think Onana's dead now to us, or do we think actually that could be a negotiating tactic and we might go back in later on? But it seems like United are very keen to get him as well. Obviously, Ten Hag knows him from Ajax.
Yeah, I think Onana similarly. I think we'll have to be quite quick. There's no real big news about Costa. So yeah, that's that question answered. But yeah, there's not been too much on goalkeeper at the moment. I think the one that's been mentioned the most perhaps is Mamardashvili, I think, from Valencia.
Oh, Valencia, yeah.
So I think he could potentially come in. He's very cheap. I think about £20 million. So again, if we wanted to save a bit of money, we could perhaps go for him. He's a very, very good shot stopper. But I like Onana the most because he's just like playing with an extra centre back, bro. He's insane with the ball in his feet, and he's a good shot stopper. So yeah, he's also a bit older as well. He's also a bit older. He's had experience. So yeah, I would like Onana the most personally, but I don't know if that one's going to happen. I think there would have to be some sort of better relations with Inter, because I don't think it's very good right now.
No, I would agree. I don't think it's the best, bro. I mean, for example, Mamardashvili at Valencia, do you think he comes in as a first choice? Or do you think, because you hear reports saying that Chelsea are looking for someone to challenge Kepa. Now, does that mean, just someone to provide competition, or does that mean a new number one? Would you look at Mamardashvili at Valencia if we signed him? Is that a new number one, or is that a number two? Because we do have to sign a goalkeeper this summer because Mendy's gone. And I doubt Salini is going to be number two. I can't see Bettinelli being promoted to second choice either. So we do need a goalkeeper. So do you think we just go cheap and get a second choice and then sign a first choice next summer? I don't really know. But would you say that Mamardashvili would be a first choice?
I wouldn't put like I don't think there's like a conclusive, number one or number two. And I think that factor itself probably says that he might not be a number one, but I think he does become the number one. Like, I think I could see a situation where like Kepa starts the season, slowly gets phased out, Mamardashvili becomes the number one, and then next season Kepa's sold and Sonina comes in as the backup. So I could see that as a situation perhaps. Yeah,
possibly. I mean, ultimately, a goalkeeper would be great this summer. We do need one because we haven't got a second choice at this point in time. So we do need to sign one. But I mean, for me, I'd much rather wait. If we're going to spend big money on a goalkeeper, maybe I'd rather wait a year see what Manyan's saying, see if Onana's still at Inter, maybe try again next year rather than just kind of signing someone for the sake of it. But yeah, the goalkeeper one's definitely something to look out for. I mean, I think you touched on Costa, but no real links. I mean, there's a release clause, isn't there? Like £65 million. So I can't see, if we're not prepared, if we think Onana's too much, or Costa's going to cost more than Onana. So I don't see how we would potentially be interested in him as well. I don't really get that. But yeah, I mean, last thing, bro, before we round this one out, Ethan Ampadu, I think, is going to be sold. He's not had the best of luck, has he? 3 back-to-back loans, relegated every single time from Italy. But 12 million for someone, not bad. I mean, Exeter will probably get around 2 million, as are saying. Do you think 12 million for Ampadu would be fair money? I mean, I've kind of almost forgotten about him a little bit. Do you think like it's over for him now? There's not really any space for him in the squad, particularly with all those other young midfielders as well. So do you think if we can get 12 million, that would be a good deal?
Yes, yeah, I do. In terms of how little he's played. I mean, he's only really had 2 Serie A loans over the last 2 seasons. Yeah, I think it could be one of those where we're like, okay, that was really cheap in a couple of years' time if he goes to the right club. But right now, I think that's actually an excellent price considering like his loans he's had, and he's not really hit the heights that in Europe, but perhaps he was made out to be at Leipzig. He never really played there, so yeah, I do feel really bad for him though. Like it always seems like when we start pre-season, Ampadu is always like one of our best players, right?
Yeah, and
then he never stays in the squad. So
all he does is play pre-season, and then that's it.
Like, I remember last season, right? Last pre-season, he was really good. Tuchel even said like Ampadu can play midfield and centre back. He was like, "Oh, it's class, another option." Then he didn't even stay. He went to Italy,
and they just fucked him straight off, shipped him out to Italy.
Exactly.
Doesn't make sense. No, it doesn't make sense at all. I mean, bro, I think we've pretty much covered anything. Is there anything else like that's not been covered, or any other news that you think is worth mentioning? I think that's pretty much everything covered, bro. I think we've got through a lot of stuff. I don't really think there's too much else to go through, is there?
No, I don't think so, bro. Obviously, if you guys want to see some Nkunku content, then just go on Chelsea's Instagram. There's
the blue balloons there.
Yeah, there's also an interview on the Fifth Stand app that has been posted, like in terms of it's text, it's not video, but there's answers there. They asked him some questions, so yeah, I think it's class. The Nkunku, the video, I posted it on London's First Twitter as well. It's really good.
Yeah, no, mate, I'm certainly excited to see how he does. But yeah, I think it seems like a good point to round this one out, people. Thanks so much for getting involved in the chat. As always, guys, appreciate each and every single one of you. Thank you to everyone that donated through the Super Chat function as well. That's massively appreciated by myself and Chelsea Fan TV. So really, thank you very much for that, guys. Pys, thanks for your time, bro. If people are under a rock and don't know what you're doing, where's the best place for them to go? Obviously, you're on Twitter, website, etc., podcast. Where's the best place for them to go?
Yeah, London's First _ on Twitter for articles and videos and general other content. And then obviously my Twitter is on the screen. Also, my personal Twitter is at Max London's First. So it's also in my bio if you want to follow me on that. I just sometimes I post stuff on there that I don't want to post on my main, like some opinions or whatever. But yeah, I'm trying to keep that professional and write articles. I just did an article on the whole like why the Saudi sort of cheating accusations was basically bullshit, and yeah, I think that one did quite well. So I'll try and write some more articles when I get time. If anyone's listening in the chat, give me some article ideas as well, because I don't really know what to write about sometimes.
But yeah, no, guys, all that will be linked in the description. Make sure you check it out. Loads of great stuff on there as always. Guys, I've put the links to both channels in the chat. Make sure you subscribe to myself and Chelsea Fan TV, guys. It'd be greatly appreciated. Smash the likes on the way out. I'll be back tomorrow with another daily transfer update, so make sure you stay locked in for that. Let's see what news we get tomorrow. Pys, thanks as always, bro. Massively appreciate your time. Guys, as I said, smash the likes on the way out. Subscribe to both channels and enjoy the rest of your evening. Up the Chelsea. Catch you again soon.